Isso é perigoso, hein? Ficar esse negócio de ficar girando, quando vê, não desvira.
Eu pensei em levantar, que eu falei, melhor não.
Eu sabia que eu fico tonta só de olhar alguém girando,
Eu sou tonto.
Então não façam isso, por favor. Bom, voltamos e é o seguinte, agora sim podemos aquecer para a final dos perdedores, que será entre a Nouns e a Renaissance. Já conhecemos os...
Série. Talvez no começo eles fiquem se vendo aqui, Gardevoir, que é o
Ver se encaixa, né?
deles, ver se encaixa, depois, caso se encaixa, depois, caso apareça um endereço do nada que nem aconteceu, talvez eles venham, porque você viu que foi meio que uma adaptação, responderam o que veio contra eles. E um fator bem interessante dessa partida é que se a Renaissance perde, não tem mais Oriente, não tem mais Ásia. É o último time representando a Ásia Pacífica, então o Oriente,
O APAC.
a galera, o APAC, a Ásia Pacífica, que a gente tá vendo. A T2 caiu, então agora a gente tem dois times representando a Naus Europa e a Black Hand NA. Então,
Ocidentes, né?
Ocidente, representando o Ocidente. E a galera agora tem a última chance.
Mas ó, a Renaissance, se sair, se perder, já levou o terceiro lugar, né? Também já tá bem legal. Dá pra voltar pra casa com o terceiro lugar, que tá muito bom. Vamos dar uma olhadinha no line-up deles?
Eu não ia querer voltar com o terceiro lugar. Se eu chegar até
Não, a
aqui,
gente quer o primeiro lugar, né, Neto? Mas assim, considerando...
Top 3, primeiro mundial, tá ótimo.
Tá lindo.
Tá ótimo, mas a gente quer uma final com ambos os lados, né? Oriente e Ocidente, será?
Não sei, seria legal também pra gente ver, até
Legal.
porque foi incrível o jogo deles, né? Quero que inclusive seja de novo um jogo de luta assim, que a Renaissance traga essa briga e que
E
a
3
nossa-
mapas. 3 mapas, pra dar emoção.
Exato, exato. E assim, a Naus lutou muito bem nas últimas lutas contra a T2. A Renaissance gosta de lutar, então eu acho bem importante ver se vai acontecer isso. Se os dois times vão comprar esse modo de jogo e vão
Isso.
querer fazer ele
Você
funcionar.
percebeu, Neto, que a gente fala tanto de Dragonite, garantir o objetivo, e os times estão brigando.
Usando o Dragonite pra
Usando
brigar.
composições de luta. Eles estão... às vezes alguns nem trazem, né? Naquela composição de Sylveon da Naus não tem Dragonite. Na composição com Gardevoir não tem Dragonite. Eles vão pra luta mesmo e conseguem garantir o terreno lá, o espaço, e definem ali, sem precisar disputar o objetivo.
De Naus e T2 com o Dragonite, os Dragonites mais lutaram do que foram pro objetivo. Tanto que o empate da Naus contra a T2 foi basicamente uma luta no top, que o Dragonite que jogou melhor ganhou, que no caso foi o Dragonite da Naus.
Adeso.
Adeso, famoso.
Adeso. Vocês vão sonhar com este nome ainda. Adeso, o Dragonite.
O Dragonite.
E animado, né?
Dragonite, adeus da...
Calvonite.
Para vocês, com isso, que absurdo!
Eu não fiz nada.
Eita, olha lá, a gente tem imagem.
Olha aí, ó.
Eles já estão prontinhos ali, o pessoal da Nouns agora, exatamente. Ó, Nouns Esports.
Naus e
E a
Sports.
gente tem a Renascença ali do lado. Adeso sempre
Olha
no
ele,
seu
olha
cantinho
ele.
ali, já colocaram ele ali porque ele é o mais carismático mesmo, ele conversa com a câmera, tem o Lucario ali do lado dele pra dar sorte. Deve estar com a cartinha dele também de Dragonite.
Teve um jogador que levou susto, né, com a câmera. Você lembra o que era?
Foi engraçado.
É que pro player, quando chega muito
Fiquei com
perto
dó.
dele, ele assusta. Ele não tá acostumado com contato social. Aí
Mas
você...
é porque eu fiquei com dó porque o cara tava meio de lado, assim. Foi
surpreendido, né?
O que foi isso?
Pro player chegou perto dele, ele... Opa, calma.
Não, muita câmera, muita câmera.
Muito
muita
perto,
câmera.
muito perto, limite.
Eu tô curiosa pra saber se eles vão manter alguma coisa ou não. Se eles vão realmente manter essa comp que a gente já viu nos outros, porque agora é a primeira final, né? A primeira grande final, assim, que é a final
final
dos
da luta,
perdedores,
sim.
exatamente. Então é muito importante. A gente já conversou aqui, já passou o tempo há muitos rounds atrás ali de esconder o jogo. Não é algo que vai acontecer aqui, então eles vão vir com tudo que eles têm mesmo, né, Fins? Claro que acontece às vezes de ter aquele plano A, um plano B, então se perde o primeiro round, a gente vai pro plano B, às vezes de composição ou de estratégia.
E é isso que tá chamando bastante atenção. Se a Naus tá onde tá e pôde ter as revanches que conseguiu, foi por plano A, B, C, D. Tem várias composições, forma de jogar.
A Naus tem o plano AD, né? ADESO lá. Eles costumam jogar pra ele. É isso, me ajuda.
Enquanto a Black Hand tem o plano Overlord. Overlord 1, Overlord 2, Overlord Gradient, Overlord Tsarina.
Vamos fazer qual Overlord agora? Overlord, eu quero o Overlord...
Gamorante, esse que você quer.
Não, esse ele... Não,
Ele falou, não.
O que eu mais gosto é o Greninja. Ele vem com Gradient sempre.
Exato.
O Jungle Book traz desse Gradient. Por quê? Porque ele fica no top e ainda faz um 3 e a gente pode ver o que vai acontecer nessa partida.
O que vai acontecer?
Vamos lá.
Naus Renascença.
Vamos matar essa curiosidade, então. Renascença versus Naus em Sports, essa primeira partida draft já na tela. A gente vai acompanhar tudo aqui pra você não perder nada. E eu tô com ele, meu companheiro, meu colega aqui sempre, Netão. Tamo juntasso.
Tamo junto e ali, ó. Uma mistura do que a Naus costumava trazer. Eles trouxeram o Mime, eles trouxeram o Trevor, mas eles não trouxeram a Sylveon. Do lado da Renascença, a Gardevoir voltou. O Yang não tá pecando esse Venossauro, ele tá vindo de Ninetales. Pro estilo de jogo do Yang, eu gostaria mais que esse Venossauro aparecesse aí. Rupa pros dois lados, Blissey só do lado da Renascença. Então vamos ver aqui, o Gatling provavelmente vai fazer aquela invasão pra atrapalhar, talvez a Gardevoir, ele fez isso, né? As outras vezes que ele jogou de Trevor. Então eu acho que ele vai fazer isso de novo, ele vem com esse Trevenant, invade, fica enchendo o saco, atrapalha o crescimento dessa Gardevoir. Então eu imagino que seja o plano. Não gostei muito dessa Ninetales.
Pois é, Ninetales que já apareceu, a primeira partida que a gente narrou teve
foi, inclusive. Se eu não me engano foi eles.
E foi derrota, não
Ou
foi?
foi o outro time da PAC agora. E aí
eu lembro desse derrota
da
Ninetales. Aí vocês comentaram aqui, falou um pouquinho também, cara, Ninetales, será que tá todo momento assim? Será que vale a pena ainda? Tem alguns Pokémon melhores ali pra serem draftados, mas nesse caso é escolha, é partida importantíssima. É final da chave dos perdedores. Você sair na frente, colocar o primeiro mapa em vantagem, pode ser a melhor coisa que você faz. E ó, clã, finalmente, depois de muito tempo, vamos ter jogo na tela. Vocês acompanharem Renascença versus Naus em Sports. A Renascença do nosso lado esquerdo, a Naus do lado direito. Você não perde nada a ver tudo aqui, olha lá. NT Jairi. Yang, tem o Mr. Mime, que deixou pra vir aparecer nas playoffs. O Mebius ficou na desvantagem por conta da vida. Chega o reforço agora, Neto!
9 knockouts y 3 asistencias. ¿Por qué digo que Adesu estuvo jugándole un poquito con fuego? Jugándole un poquito con fuego, porque pues anteriormente les resumí un tanto de más de 1 minuto y medio en el que este muchacho estuvo siendo un calvario para todos los demás jugadores, o al menos hacia sus rivales. También no supieron dividirse bien la chamba, ¿sabes? Sí aprovechaban o sí intentaban corretear si acaso a Dragonite, pero tenían 50 todavía de vida, entonces tenían que primero detenerlo o checar bien la jugada, o unos queden sensados, otros no, nada más uno, ¿no? Quizás posiblemente uno no lo vamos a dejar cómodo, no lo vamos a dejar jugar, porque tal tenía este salto sideral, y de hecho yo me imaginaba, dije, donde tenga salto sideral tal les puede dar el robo, inclusive con el puro salto. No es así, a pesar de todo saca las cosas, y aquí nuestros muchachos de Renaissance deberían de entender que a veces es mejor dividir un poquito, o sea, decir, bueno, tú quédate haciendo esta chamita, nosotros dando la confianza en lugar de decir, sí, voy contigo, tú dale, dale, vamos agarraditos de la mano. Aquí no les esto, o comunicación, simplemente yo puedo, no te preocupes, no vengas, tú a otra cosa, tú a lo que estás, mi estimado, acá déjanos que yo atiendo, ¿no? Ahora si termina pasando, ya no creo, pero puede que sea botón check, puede que estás revisando otras cosas, no sé. No me quiero adelantar a lo que todavía no sucede.
Per turn. So an electro web, would be needed. And of course taken out by the hail, so that's not even relevant. And this Kyogre is certainly struggling to lay the damage down. The last turn of Dynamax right here means Groudon's got its special defense boost, probably wants to stay in and try and capitalize on them. Of course, Rillaboom is a little bit concerning. Rillaboom, a physical attacker in this instance, certainly something a little bit different. But, if you want to try and maybe just take out the Kyogre here, if you can give that a little bit of attention, then you can just start focusing on the Rillaboom.
Rillaboom is certainly scary when you know you have that grassy terrain that just got set, the grassy glides that have been able to do so much damage, but the Regieleki still super pesky. I mean, it's just tough when you look at this and knowing that the Kyogre wasn't even close to getting the knockout this time.
Oh, nowhere near. And, going into the Regieleki again, taking away that weather, a really big deal. The Regieleki actually leaving the field this time for the Incineroar, so a lot of respect being put down onto that Rillaboom. Doesn't wait for the Zacian partner to come in as well. Definitely wants to buy some time, and there is a big, difference once that Intimidate lands. Kyogre going for the max guard. That does mean the Groudon is going for an attack, as it does get caught by a pretty sizable grassy glide, but that Intimidate has helped out as, Max Weight goes into the max guard, being a little bit greedy there, and not catching that Rillaboom on a turn where it's free to be attacked. Maybe the slight momentum swing that James needs to capitalize on his final turn of Dynamax.
Well, I mean, there aren't too many ways I think that Guillermo's particular Groudon is able to hit the Rillaboom for good amounts of damage. And you are still looking at it as being a pretty big threat to the team. But one really important thing here is that Guillermo did Dynamax first in one turn before James. So James still has a turn of Dynamax to work with here now that Groudon's is over.
It's definitely some room to try and capitalize on it, and maybe a potential switch around could be the play here. I do like actually keeping the Regieleki to try and maybe pick off this Kyogre a little bit later when it's been dealt with, or bought very low. But my big concern is Regieleki really doesn't get to play the game until Rillaboom is gone. Of course, the Rillaboom is going to be a real troublemaker, and that's certainly going to cause some problems. Groudon, though, just going for it with the Precipice Blade. It's nowhere near a knockout on the Kyogre or the Rillaboom.
Nope, but the Max Geyser, too. Kyogre's last turn of Dynamax will be used here to reset the weather, but also get a one-hit knockout into Guillermo's Incineroar. And so you now have that Intimidate off of the field. Yes, you had to deal with a fake out this turn, but if you have something like the Zashi in the back and maybe you can pivot around your Pokemon, then all of a sudden this Rillaboom does not have an Intimidate drop on it anymore.
No, the Rillaboom is able to pivot around too. I think when you've got the Pokemon advantage like that, you're feeling pretty good about your chances being able to get that out. I mean, they're both at 3-3, so they have one option to show off. I imagine it would be the Zacian once again for James Beck. It was so impactful in the last one, and I like this. I like the Lunala coming in to maybe buy a little bit of time until that Rillaboom is off the field. But realistically, the answers to Rillaboom are very few and far between here. It's been chunked out a little bit. It is, of course, recovering a little bit with the grassy terrain, but there's nothing that's hitting it super effectively right now. That Groudon hasn't shown off a single fire move, so there's no choice for something like the Max Flare, or in this case, the Heat Crash. And this Groudon, getting caught so low. Lunala following up with a Meteor Beam, does want that special attack boost.
Yes, it absolutely does, but it also wants to potentially secure a knockout here and make this just a touch easier for Guillermo to take a Pokemon advantage. So here comes a Meteor Beam. It will connect, and it is going to go right into the Rillaboom, and it's still going to survive here, but we still have to see what the Groudon's going to do, and that will be a double connect from Guillermo. Both the Kyogre and the Rillaboom will be knocked out, and now James in the second game of this Masters Top 4 set is down to his final Pokemon, and Guillermo's on the verge of being able to bring us to a game 3.
Those little bits of recovery from the grassy terrain have held on, allowed Pokemon to stay on the field just a little bit longer than you would expect. Honestly, the grassy terrain recovery was what saved the Groudon there. The amount that he gets back is, less, or is more than the amount he had remaining. That is absolutely incredible. He recovers just enough to be able to take that grassy glide, and those grassy glides are doing so much damage. Being able to take that really big. The speed drop from earlier coming in clutch as we're going to game 3 here in top 4 at the World Championships.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is what we were talking about. This match is delivering on all accounts when it comes down to how good these players are, how intricate these matchups really get, and now it comes down to a final game to decide who will be moving forward to the finals tomorrow of the World Championships.
It's too close to call, honestly. The crowd is getting so lively for it. They're both well up for it, both sides. North American fans and players who are here, and of course the Europeans who have made the shorter journey. But both trainers have shown what their team can do. There's so much to these teams, and I think they know a lot about them. They're able to take that and make some really smart, informed decisions. It's been a fantastic set so far, and it's going to keep delivering.
I am so excited. I mean, EU versus NA is a tale as old as time. We got a chance to see that at EUIC, at NAIC. Here it is at the World Championships again. The crowd is going absolutely wild as we hear cheers for USA, for Spain. It's absolutely intense here.
I definitely recognize some of those as Spanish players, so they're getting pretty lively. Pretty sure they're down the front. Oh, it is definitely a party down there. But back to the game. We're going into game 3. There is going to be no adjustment from Guillermo on the lead, but as we pivot to the other side, you may have seen already, that Rillaboom is ready to go from the get-go, so the Ndidi being left behind, and honestly, Guillermo's probably pretty okay with that. That's something that's been slowing him down a little bit, but this Rillaboom is the big damage factor. It's been doing so much to this Groudon, so why not get that damage done early?
Yeah, I look at it that way, but I also look at the fact that Ndidi, while it was able to take away the attention from the Kyogre for one turn, it wasn't really able to do much more than that. It did allow for a survival. We saw the double protect in that game too, to just be able to get rid of one turn of Dynamax, but then after that, and in game 1, it got knocked out pretty early. So I love the adjustment of the Rillaboom to just start trying to dish out some damage. And the Groudon does not want to deal with any of it right now.
This Groudon's been getting absolutely hurt by some of these grassy glides. It's been causing so many problems, and I think this Rillaboom does have to be intimidated for it to be anywhere near manageable. That is an actual sort of fact that we have to agree with. And Regieleki going for the Protect, just trying to scout out maybe an opposing Protect. He's caught the Protect on the opposing Kyogre, which means he might be able to hit it next turn. As Rillaboom, high horsepowers, not going for that grassy glide, so respecting the Groudon might leave in exchange for the Incineroar, trying to capitalize there. That's a good bit of information for Guillermo to use and maybe look at into the next turn.
I mean, these Protects were just kind of maybe led to a little bit of a mute turn when you just look at it from that perspective, but it did allow Guillermo to pivot, and we are seeing a Dynamax now coming out from his side, and I have to bet that it is going to be that Regieleki. It's looking at 2 very nice targets on the other side, especially when you look at that super effective damage into the Kyogre, but what else does this Regieleki have up its sleeve?
That's really the big question here. I've got a feeling we're going to be matching it with a Dynamax on the other side as well. Both trainers know that if you're getting hit by a max move, you need more health to be able to take them. The pivot in of that Incineroar may slow down this Rillaboom for a turn. I think Guillermo's targeting of the fake out from Incineroar is absolutely huge here, but Kyogre being able to kind of mess around with the weather or just put down big damage is going to be huge here. Regieleki just going for it with the Max Lightning. There's no fake out on this turn, bear in mind. That is a monstrous knockout on the Kyogre.
That's just a one-hit knockout.
There is no need. That's the Life Orb. Life Orb Transistor. Being able to land that Max Lightning, and really importantly, potentially for later, you know, the Rillaboom doesn't have grassy terrain right now. The Regieleki does lose a bit of health, but Rillaboom's still high horsepowering.
Yeah, but look at that. The survival there of the Regieleki, despite it being super effective damage, and the parting shot as well from this Incineroar just to be able to pivot out. But James has lost such a huge offensive threat on his team, and that critical tool of that Dynamax.
It's a 0-turn Dynamax. It's one of the worst things that can happen to you in the game. And this Rillaboom being stuck in right now, it wants to keep high horsepowering this Regieleki. It's been doing good damage to it, and obviously you know now what that Rillaboom is packing as an item. That's something that Guillermo has been very respectful of, and knowing that that's an option on the Rillaboom, Dynamaxing the Regieleki so he can take it.
But this is a problem for James. In a lot of instances, when you see just how impactful and how much damage some of these Regieleki are able to dish out, well, electric terrain is now also on the field. So you're looking at Transistor, electric terrain, and that Life Orb. And if that's going to go in the way of that Zacian and James isn't careful, that could be another one-hit knockout.
Well, the Rillaboom can't grassy glide right now for a number of reasons, but that just means that, you know what, you're able to throw out some big attacks with this Regieleki, just going first every time. It's just going for it into this Rillaboom, and the Rillaboom getting, that's not very effective. Look how much damage it did.
That's exactly the power of all of these different pieces coming together. And because of the speed of the Lunala as well, Zacian not moving next, that Moongeist Beam will clean up this Rillaboom, and James down to his final 2 Pokemon, and Guillermo, you can see the emotion in his face on that camera. He can taste the victory and taste that top cut. Ndidi too,
Well,
going to be coming to the field, but is this redirection going to be enough for the Zacian to get through the 4 Pokemon that Guillermo still has left?
When you're in a 4v2 Pokemon count, you definitely want 2 offensive threats when you're the 2, and this Indeedee is going to be able to buy a little bit of time. How much time? Is it going to be enough? I'm just not sure. There's so much work for this Zacian to do. The Zacian also could kind of get pinned out by the Incineroar being able to come back in at some point. Intimidate it, land a fake out on it if it doesn't protect. There's so much to do. Of course, the Indeedee can do more than redirection. There's certainly options, and if this Zacian can target correctly with the help of a helping hand, that's going to be a huge assistance. There is a world, let's not rule it out, where Indeedee goes for those expanding forces and starts to contribute to the fight. But the big thing here is the Regieleki is just going to be moving first.
Okay, well, we're seeing the helping hand from the Indeedee, trying to boost up this damage from the Zacian, the Max Lightning without the electric terrain going into the Zacian. It's just a knockout here. That's going to remove the Zacian, one of the biggest and last offensive threats from James's field, right off. And now Lunala gets to follow that up, and it's just a free Indeedee on the field right now. And so that Meteor Beam with that Power Herb, this could do it.
Oh yeah, the Meteor Beam is definitely going to be a big amount of damage. There was, of course, the boost from the Psychic Seed. That may help out a little bit, but I just think Lunala should be able to take out an Indeedee, as Guillermo Castilla-Diaz knows exactly where this one is going. It's not enough for the knockout, but you know what? He's still got 4 Pokemon, and Indeedee needs to now hit a perfect expanding force every time. Double knockout, and it's not even faster than the Regieleki.
And it can't even double target both Pokemon either, because with that Max Lightning, Regieleki changed that terrain back to an electric type, and so Guillermo, he can feel it. The rising voltage from the Regieleki into this Indeedee will secure the knockout, and Guillermo Castilla-Diaz will make it to the finals of the World Championships tomorrow.
It's going to be all European. The first time we hold Worlds in Europe, we managed to get, of course, one of the finest finals you could ask for. These players have been going crazy all weekend, and look at the celebrations. He is over the moon with this one. That is a phenomenal performance. The adaptation in Game 3 is so good. The move to Dynamax Regieleki just worked for him.
And he earned this one too. James is not an easy opponent. And so just seeing all of the skill represented in that match, not only in this top 4 match, the one before, and of course the rest of our top cut today, this is such a good feeling for Guillermo. Look at that.
No, that is phenomenal. Stealing a celebration there, by the way, from Cristiano Ronaldo, I believe. I think they're going to have to pay for some copyright infringement on that, but they deserve it, and they, as a team, as a group, do get to enjoy their moment to the absolute fullest. They're going to be so elated to see him in finals tomorrow. He's going to be going up against Eduardo Cunha, and that finals is definitely going to deliver.
Portugal versus Spain. I think that's what we've got on our hands tomorrow.
That is exactly what we've got. That is certainly an interesting one.
Hey, no, it's a great precursor to Scarlet and Violet, okay? Like,
I look at it from a footballing perspective, but these two trainers, absolutely phenomenal performances, to be honest with you. Both of their top 4s are incredible. One of them was a little bit longer than the other. You know, I think it's fair to say Eduardo went the longest way round possible, but then that adaptation from Guillermo is just spot on. I really love the change to Regieleki as the Dynamax option. I can't speak highly enough about that. And the targeting was just there every single time. You know, he didn't make a single mistake in that game.
Well, you were even hearing the desk talk about this before we ended up getting into our coverage of this second top 4 match, and that is there were Regieleki on teams, but they weren't often the focal point of the offensive damage.
They definitely weren't, and in a number of cases, you know, people just bought them for a little bit of support, or a couple of matchups maybe that they felt they were able to capitalize on them. This matchup definitely is one that it works in. I mean, you see the Kyogre, you see the Tornadus, we didn't even see the Tornadus, but you see it at Team Preview at least. And then you're able to, you know, just try and cause some problems by... The Electro Web was huge, actually, in game number 1 and even game number 2. You know, the Electro Web caused a number of problems for that Groudon. That was really interesting.
Well, Adam and I think need to catch our breath and relax a little bit after that intense matchup. So we're going to go ahead and throw it over to the analyst desk so they can break down all of this top 4 action.
Thank you very much, my wonderful friends. That is the last match that we have for today, and wow, that was an action-packed one. Scott, you and I were joking a little bit about how we had not really seen Vergieleki action throughout this World Championship, even though we expected it to be dominant. I ate my words in that last one. Guillermo said, I'll give you a Vergieleki game, and boy, was it a Vergieleki game.
Yeah, we found it. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly why we thought it was so good, right? Again, this must have been happening off stream. Right? Too many Vergieleki get deep for this not to be like a thing. But yeah, I mean, it really just puts out the offensive pressure. I mean, it's so difficult to play against. And you saw even that one Max Lightning and Rillaboom, who resist electric type attacks, still nearly got one shot.
Scott, I definitely want to ask you a little bit first about Guillermo, because you and him actually both competed at the 2012 World Championships. He finished 8th there, you finished 10th, and so, you know, he's a player from really the old era of VGC, has competed in multiple World Championships. You know, I think once he came back in Sword and Shield was super dominant as well. So, yeah, kind of what are your thoughts about this matchup and him specifically as a player?
Yeah, I mean, for him as a player, I mean, it's tough to have been good for that long, right? I mean, there's not really anybody. It's a short list that only includes him. Where, yeah, I mean, every format is so different, right? And like there's skills you can take from every format that kind of carry forward. You know, like the general concept of predicting, kind of keeping your board strong and team building and all that nonsense. But each format is so different, you know, especially the recent generations. You know, Mega Evolution is so different from Z Moves, is so different from Dynamax, and that he's been able to do well in so many different formats, I think really speaks highly to him as a player. Especially because he's not one of those players that like often plays like a traditionally old school style, or like, you know, the tempo of those games largely being much slower. You know, I think if he's like you know, a Trick Room Savant or something, like maybe that fits better, right? But like, this really isn't that style. I mean, it's a very modern feeling team. I think that's really impressive.
Yeah, I definitely want to break down the games just a little bit, since they're actually relatively fast, so we can go through them relatively quickly. But, you know, what's really interesting about this dynamic, by the way, to start, is the Kyogre plus the NDD lead against Groudon plus Regieleki, right? Because of the weather dynamic here, James's Kyogre is actually faster, and so Groudon actually ends up setting the sun. And so I think he was like, okay, Groudon Aleki kind of beats anything you can have. One thing I was maybe a little bit curious about was like a Tornadus potentially in the back for James, but it's kind of hard to position that. I think what gets really hard for James is Electroweb makes Kyogre slow immediately, right? So it's like this lead is a nightmare. I think it's especially strong to Indy and Kyogre.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you see the beginning of what's a really difficult matchup for James here, where Guillermo's so good, right? You can't afford to fall behind, and he's got so many ways to get ahead of you.
And so, you know, it's funny, we've been talking a lot about Dynamax Groudon throughout the course of the stream, but this is not the Assault Vest Groudon, right? And it is the White Herb set. That gives you a pretty major advantage against opposing Incineroars, and I think are maybe one of the best items in this generation, which is really funny to me to say, because I feel like we barely ever saw it used in other generations, but what White Herb does on a Pokemon like Groudon or Calyrex Ice Rider is suboptimal matchup into something like Incineroar and makes so much more use of your Dynamax.
Yeah, I mean, Guillermo's team, right? You're talking about he's been good for a decade, but yeah, I mean, you can't imagine, you know, he's got weakness policy and White Herb on his team. We're not going to see him.
Yeah, and so the beginning of this game was dynamic. I think Guillermo had really strong starts, right? And so, actually, huge credits to James in this first game, because I thought after turn one that the game was actually almost over, essentially, right? It was such an explosive turn one. You slowed down the Kyogre as well. Groudon's in such a healthy position as well, but, you know, the Choice Band Rillaboom ends up coming out. And we actually end up seeing a double up into Kyogre. I think one of the things that has allowed James to come back in deficits throughout this tournament, especially in his top 8 set as well, is basically saying, okay, I'm already in a pretty tricky position. I'm going to try to get my opponent to commit to targeting both of their moves onto my one Pokemon, thus, you know, erasing all momentum that they have and then getting a really big move off.
Yeah, it's like a core tenet of playing from behind, right? Where if your opponent's covering all of your options, you're definitely going to keep losing. And throughout the set, yeah, when he's falling behind, he does things, at least give himself a chance to crawl back into the game, even if he's still not favored, where, you know, sometimes you just need your opponent to make a mistake.
Absolutely. And, you know, Choice Band Rillaboom here, I think also a really interesting pick. We were also talking about Rillaboom throughout the course of this World Championship. It's been somewhat common throughout Sword and Shield, of course, especially in the non-restricted formats. I felt like it fell off a cliff going into this Worlds, but I think James made it look really good, and Choice Band Rillaboom gives you that extra bit of damage that you really need often into Pokemon Kyogre and Groudon.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I mean, it kind of he lives and dies by it a little bit in this set, where not being able to switch moves hurts in some other situations. But I really like it. I think the Grassy Glass we saw throughout his sets on stream is putting out so much damage where you really have to respect it. Where, you know, sometimes with the more defensive Assault Vest, Rillaboom instead, you know, it's like it's annoying, but like as long as you don't have like Gastrodon on the field, it's not really that big of a problem.
Yeah, and so I think like what really allows James to come back into this game is right, like trying to bait out attacks into protect often, right? And so here Groudon switches in. The good substitute from the Zacian. I think substitute has been a really critical strategy for James, right? Because the idea is normally Zacian, as soon as it commits protect, if you don't have substitute, it's very easy to target that slot and do a lot of damage to either the Zacian or whatever switches in. But this is how he's used his substitute, saying, okay, all I need is 1 HP on Zacian, right? Because it's so fast, it's faster than part of your team, and so instead of fainting because I just committed the protect or having to switch out, I can use it to bypass another one of your turns.
Yeah, it's important in this matchup too, right? Where we saw so much switching like in the other top 4 set, and this one you just can't afford to do that, right? The Pokemon are hitting too hard, so it's a key way where, yeah, I mean the substitute only costs 25% of your HP, but it can absorb drastically more damage than that.
Yeah, and I think here, Lunala actually ends up committing the Meteor Beam. There's an opportunity to just Moongeist Beam into Zacian. It is go for it here, knocks out the Kyogre, and of course, pretty huge Precipice Blades miss there onto Zacian. So, James definitely needed some good fortune to really stay in the game, but of course, one of the key skills when playing from behind is recognizing, okay, maybe I have a very good path to victory, but if I can find the path to victory, as long as it's not 0%, at least I'm still in the game. These are World Championship caliber players that are able to recognize that.
Yeah, you've got to play your outs, right? It's a losing matchup. You lost the first turn of the game really hard. So yeah, you've got to do, right?
And to me, this end game is pretty interesting, right? Because suddenly it shows you how strong the Rillaboom is in itself, right, with Grassy Glide. There's another missed opportunity here for Lunala potentially to target the Zacian, right, with the Meteor Beam. Then it's a 2v1, then Incineroar Lunala against Rillaboom. Rillaboom's Bandits, you can just fake out Meteor Beam. So I think most likely they're trying to read into a potential protect from the Zacian. Zacian doesn't go for it. That essentially just seals up the game, right? Like Grassy Glide and Sacred Word is so strong. So I think, James probably ends up taking a game like he definitely wasn't expecting to take. Guillermo ends up starting behind in what feels like a very advantageous turn 1 and matchup. So kind of, from your perspective, how do you come back from this, especially when you kind of maybe not throw away a game, but have a game in which you feel like you've almost secured, but suddenly actually lose?
Yeah, I was thinking, we won't be coming back to the analysis after this, and like we saw him hit the Hypnosis and have much more accurate moves, I guess, than his opponent in his previous set. And you live by Pokemon Sword, die by Pokemon Sword. He hit all the RNG the first time. Maybe this time all the RNG is going to go against him. But this is how you get to this deep in a tournament, despite having so many inaccurate moves, right? He plays just a fantastic game 2 and 3, as we're about to see.
Yeah, game 2 to me felt really close. I love the adaptation that James makes, saying, okay, you seem to be willing to go for aggressive Dynamaxes on turn 1 of the battle, so I'm actually just going to go for the double protect, right? The idea is in doing this, I stall to turn a Dynamax immediately. Part of what's really, I think, annoying in this matchup for James is maybe Groudon just being able to freely click Precipice Blades. This Galactic Groudon combination is just so tough to go up against, because it's like, okay, what's the one thing that can switch into maybe a Max Quake well on this team is Tornadus. But truthfully, like, it doesn't even take it that well, right? It's still like 40% of damage. But the thing is, like, what does Tornadus really do if you switch it in? Just eats up an Electro Web as well. So this combination is just really hard to fight against, but I think there's a really, really great kind of defensive play to start this game.
Yeah, it's a really great natural typing synergy there too, right? We used to have Disquake, the Discharge Earthquake thing, early VGC, and like some of that was just like, my spread moves don't hurt my own Pokemon. But also it's great because those types are so difficult to switch into, where most Pokemon that are good against one of the type are really bad against the other.
Yeah, so the trade-off here is really interesting, right? Incineroar now ends up making an appearance. I think, by the way, we haven't really talked about like Pokemon selection too much here, but to me, I think like Guillermo definitely selects the best, the right 4 Pokemon. I guess you could make an argument for Charizard if there's some like end game scenario where you want to use it against Rillaboom and Zacian specifically, but Incineroar feels so critical for the Intimidate against both Rillaboom and Zacian in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so crucial. And yeah, just like, because we see the previous matches he played where some of the other Pokemon in his team were like so big, and then it's kind of just, I think it's great for the audience to kind of get to see this over a variety of matches where all 6 Pokemon matter, right? And like sometimes you watch the same matchup a few times, like, oh man, this team is just these 4 Pokemon, but picking the right ones at the right time is a big deal. And kind of like we were joking about Regieleki before the set, where it seems like we're never seeing it, where even though some games it just never shows up at all, other matches it's the most critical Pokemon.
Absolutely. And in game 2, this feels like the deciding turn to me, where it's like, okay, you've got Rillaboom out, the Dynamax is over, you have the Choice Band on it as well. Grassy Glide comes out, it hits the Groudon, and Groudon survives on 11 HP, which is so critical here, right? If you just knock out the Groudon there, you're in a much better position. Lunala ends up outspeeding the Kyogre here as well. That's where the Electro Web is so handy. That's why I was like, oh, it'd be interesting if there were Tornadus, but how do you actually fit it in, right? It's like you'd have to set up Tailwind and actually maximize those turns of Tailwind as well. But Lunala ends up just hitting the Meteor Beam. This was, I think, the most stressful moment. I'm sure when Guillermo clicked those moves, he's like, okay, if I just hit the Meteor Beam and Precipice Blades, I'm good. But I'm using a team that is very prone to missing, but he connects on all 3 of those critically.
Yeah, I really think that's the thing, right? You miss it one game, another. I mean, they're accurate enough. You're still going to hit it more often than not. Pretty unlikely to get 2 games in a row where you critical Christmas plays miss, but something that happens and he gets through it.
Yeah, and so at this point, it's a 3v1 in the end game, right? The game can go a little bit differently with even a single press displays perhaps miss, but in the end, yeah, at this point, Zacian just can't really do it. And so we go into this game 3, and I think I really like the adjustment that James attempted here, but Guillermo just felt like he was one step ahead with the way he played out turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, we see a great turn here again. But yeah, I mean, James is going to crush in the first turn of both games, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about we were going over game 1, but like he's very lucky to have survived what happened in that game just to get to a game.
Yeah, and I think, the logic in Choice Band Rillaboom here is, okay, like, high horsepower actually can just knock out Regieleki. You've spent so much of the, last 2 games Dynamaxing Groudon. And if you get the high horsepower and just knock out Regieleki and catch you being a little bit greedy, maybe something like Electro Web and a Precipice Blades play, Kyogre protects itself, you can actually gain a pretty major advantage. But this is like an all-in play to me, right? Because if you don't get this first turn right, then Guillermo's like, okay, well, I know your Choice Band. You're locked into the high horsepower. The Intimidate here is perfect as well. So this defensive play, I think, is just absolutely amazing. And the one scary thing I think you'd have to worry about here is maybe Kyogre maxing and going for like a Max Geyser immediately. But of course, it's like, do you want to really risk that when you're staring down a Lecky plus the Groudon combination? And so James ends up going for the Protect. And I think from this position already, Guillermo's in a really good spot.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's just such a big advantage to know that it's locked in. We don't see Choice Band too much anymore, but that is the one really big advantage, right? You hit so hard, but it's much easier to play around. And this is, as we kind of mentioned earlier in this breakdown, it's really difficult for him to make defensive switches. It's not like, oh, oops, I locked in the wrong move. I'm going to send Cresselia out or something. You just don't have those safe switches anymore.
And this is the power of Dynamax Regieleki, right? So very critically, James's Kyogre is not a bulky Kyogre. It's very fast, very speedy. So many Kyogres leading up to the World Championships started to go for Assault Vest, right? And it would actually not have very much speed and be very specially invested. James's is not, right? And so this is kind of the problem you run into when you run that kind of Kyogre, because as you see, the Max Lightning just gets the one-hit knockout onto it, right? And to me, I was like, I don't really see how James wins the game from this position. Like, the best bet maybe is to potentially, I think there's a couple things you can do. You're already playing from behind, but maybe consider switching Kyogre out into Indeedee, for example, to take the Max Lightning. Another crazy play you could go for could be actually, like, double Protect on Kyogre, Max Guard, and then bring in Indeedee to replace the Rillaboom slot. Then the next turn you can go for Follow Me plus Max Geyser. To be honest, even then you're in a pretty tough spot. I think position himself out of what looked like a somewhat bad lead was really well.
I mean, that's the kind of a thing, right? I mean, like you've survived one turn with Kyogre in there against Regieleki, but like you're really going to survive a second where there just wasn't that much damage being threatened the other way. A lot of incentive to Dynamax there, even on a defensive side, if you're Guillermo, and I think it was important for James to kind of consider the situation that he put Guillermo in, where you're not just going to leave Regieleki there, not Dynamax, and eat high horsepower for no reason, right? So, like, I think you're trying to make a defensive switch, of which he doesn't have a lot of great options, or you're going to Dynamax a Pokemon that's on the team in large part because it's good when it's Dynamaxed. I think it was just, it was so likely that was going to happen. I just don't think you can Dynamax Kyogre there, like, unless you're going to go for the Max Guard, right? Which, like, it's not awesome. A lot of not great things about making that play there, but at least like you're accepting like, all right, it's better than for sure I'm going to lose both my Dynamax and a restricted Pokemon one blow. Like if you hit that, kind of like the worst case scenario is you drastically weaken Regieleki. If something happens where maybe even if you leave Rillaboom in, I guess you weaken Regieleki. If you switch, then yeah, you have a much more realistic chance of fixing your board state. But like, maybe you get a situation where you trade Regieleki for Kyogre, which like still bad because you're trading both the Dynamax and a restricted for just a Dynamax, but like at least it's something. Losing all that for nothing on the first game of a first game rather, as I try my best here in the last game of the day. It really takes the wind out of your sails.
Yeah, I think to me, like, the game's over at this point, right? So we can talk a little bit about James's other options here. Like, I think one thing that James has done a great job of, and we saw it in his set, was, like, figuring out when to actually max Rillaboom. I think that was an opportunity here, potentially, where, like, Max Rillaboom might not necessarily get the knockout immediately, but I was intrigued by the idea of maybe maxing Rillaboom, and you could go for Quake onto the Regieleki slot, then switch into Indeedee. If you have Fake Out for Max Strike, I think that's actually really intriguing, because then it's like inherent speed control that your opponent maybe wouldn't expect. With him being Choice Band Rillaboom, I'm not sure if we ever actually saw it. But if you have that, that's an interesting option with the Zacian in the back. But if not, then yeah, at least like Max Quaking, for example. Because the problem is, as soon as Kyogre goes down here, and I'm putting myself in shoes, I think maybe he was just hoping, okay, well, you're Dynamax Alecki. Are you like one? Are you actually going to Dynamax Alecki? And Guillermo has the good recognition to go for it, right? And James might be thinking, okay, well, maybe he doesn't see that play, and if he misses it, then I actually have an opportunity to just like momentum with this Max Kyogre. To me, this was basically going all in, and unfortunately for James, it didn't work out. And here's the thing with Choice Band, right? Like this next turn, Guillermo makes the perfect play of basically doubling up onto the Rillaboom slot. And you might be like, okay, well, you know, James ended up going for Protect on Zacian there. Why would you do that? I think you and I were talking about it, and, you know, at first we're like, okay, yeah, that seems kind of questionable. But at the same time, James is so far behind in this game that I feel like maybe one of his only ways to win is for Guillermo to mess up and launch the Max Lightning into the Zacian slot. He's saying, okay, well, if Guillermo plays this perfectly, he should just win the match. The best play is always to double up into the Rillaboom slot. There's also the opportunity, by the way, for Rillaboom, or the Lunala to miss if they go for Meteor Beam, but Guillermo very smartly just goes for the safe 100% accurate plays here. You know your team can miss a lot, don't bother going, you know, risking those positions.
Yeah, I do want to defend James's play a little bit here too. Where
Yeah.
I think from the, you know, he really lost the first turn in this game because, you know, he took a gamble, he didn't get it, and I think it looks like from that point, you know, if you're not thinking too hard, like he really gets dumpstered every turn, kind of, right? Like he just keeps losing more and more and more. But like, you have to, right? I think we've kind of seen players play out the other end of that in some other games this set, right? Where they, not this set, but today, where, you know, they fall down 4-3 or they have a really bad lead or something, and they keep just gradually losing until they lose like 1-0 or 2-0 or something. Like, well, great, but they still both lost, right? Where I think the way James does it, even though it looks bad, if Guillermo had just, you know, totally screwed up one of these plays, then maybe James can get back into it and actually win the set, right? There's no point in making a decision like, well, I'm going to lose a little bit less when there's no path where you're going to trade away into an advantage.
Yeah.
Where you've got to at least do something and give you a chance to play the game. And yeah, I mean, all the more props to Guillermo, who like basically made no mistakes in any of the sets he played on stream.
Yeah, so, like, let's see. And I want to highlight this turn as well, because this just highlights the strength of Life Orb Regieleki, right? That's a Max Lightning, that's a 1-hit KO on a Zacian, there's no Electric Terrain as well. And so, one of the big trends, I think, is the players recognizing, oh my gosh, like, modest Life Orb Regieleki with a base 140 Max Lightning coming from something like Rising Voltage, it has the power to get a one-hit knockdown onto Incineroar, Grimmsnarl, Zacian, Kyogre. Those are some of the most common Pokemon in the format, right? And I think one of the things about James's Zacian Kyogre composition is it doesn't have a ground type. It doesn't have a Shedinja. So it is so much easier for Guillermo to just Dynamax that Regieleki and feel confident going for Max Lightning. You set up that Electric Terrain, and it's like, we saw how much Rillaboom took from that Max Lightning, right? That in itself almost KO'd it. And so that's why I think one of the things about Zacian Kyogre is a lot of players then started moving towards things like Landers or Shedinja, but James here didn't have anything like that, so it made Regieleki so hard to fight against in this final game.
Yeah, actually, I kind of really like James' team in that, even though like it really doesn't work here, which I'm sure is a strange thing. The reason why I like it is we actually didn't see that many Regieleki throughout the course of the tournament.
Right.
The company not being on stream, but there weren't actually that many players who brought teams that had it to use it to begin with. I think that kind of makes James' team a really good meta call. You know, eventually he gets burned for it, right? He does run into a really good Regieleki player, and that's the end of his tournament run. But I think it's kind of clever that he got here without needing a sort of counter, right? He didn't need to dedicate a slot in his team to Shedinja, who like also kind of requires you to make a lot of other adjustments to make Shedinja good. He didn't need the ground type. He was able to have this archetype that's very similar to what he's already been very successful with in past formats, and kind of just get around it because it wasn't actually that big of a thing. You know, you can't cover everything, and you know eventually he got, but he had a really good run, and you know it wound up being that despite Regieleki, you know, potentially right up there with Charizard as the best unrestricted Pokemon in the format to Dynamax, you know, he got away with it for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. So James will be eliminated in the semifinals. That is two back-to-back top four. That in itself is such an amazing accomplishment. James, of course, also top got the International Championships, truly one of the best to ever do it, and definitely represented in North America very well. But Guillermo will move on to the finals, and so we have determined our two final players who will be fighting for the title of Pokemon World Champion tomorrow. And so thank you so much for joining the couch once again. My name is Aaron Zhang. I'm joined by Scott Plaza. It has been an honor to do this for all of you. So yeah, thank you for tuning in, and let's take it back.
So much, Aaron and Scott, for breaking down that intense action in that final top four match to see who was going to join Eduardo in the finals of the Masters division of the World Championships. It's been an intense day of action just across the board for Top Cut, but the fact we have whittled it down to 2 players to take home the title, it was a lot of stuff today.
There were some fantastic matches today, and the way that we broke out the tournament with the extra day compared to previous Worlds has been absolutely fantastic and allowed us to show every single game you see up on the bracket right now. No cutting away from top 8, we've shown all of top 8 and of course both of top 4. But we do have our 2 finalists ready to go and play tomorrow. Representing Portugal will be Eduardo Cunha. Started out the day with a win against the current world champion, the reigning world champion, Mizubuchi. That was a crisp 2-0 as well. It was very commanding and a very healthy matchup for him, which he seemed to play super nicely. He then had to wait a little while, but he came back and played against Paul Chua, an exhilarating 2-1 set. Joe and Sierra having a lot of fun with that one. He'll be going up against Guillermo Castilla, who started out the day with a win against Davide Carrere. That was Davide coming off that win from Rinya. You thought, oh, maybe he's absorbed his power and will be able to take this one home. And as you just saw, and Aaron and Scott have just broken down beautifully for us, that set against James Beck, fantastic. There's so much to unpack and go into before that finals tomorrow, but we're going to have to save that a little bit, I think. We can't go for all of it today.
Oh, no. We think we've covered so I think that that'll leave everybody hungry for more as we look forward to our final day of competition tomorrow. And you're going to want to check everything out. And if you want to get involved in the Play Pokemon competitive circuit, you want to check out any more of the tournament results for any of the other games that are happening here this weekend, then go to pokemon.com/play and check out all of the information there. You can see, what's coming up, what is ahead of us, and also just really relish in the World Championships this weekend.
I mean, there's definitely no way you've watched all of the World Championships. You just don't have that many sets of eyes, and if you do, I highly recommend a visit to your local doctor. Would definitely help out on that one. But there's so much to catch up on from the trading card game, Pokemon Go, Pokemon Unite, and even Pokken, which wrapped up yesterday as well. It has been a fantastic day, and if this has inspired you at home to maybe get involved in one of those games, get yourself down to a tournament in the coming months, coming year, then that's definitely the place to go and check all of that out.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see some team reports and amazing resources there too to help start for Pokemon Go and Pokken. We are
right now. Now Esports put a heck of a fight though. They got all of the objectives saved. Dreadnought and actually Blackhand. This is the only one they do get off that hard steal by Overlord. You called it, but they caught a receipt for that real quick.
Right now, just fighting so incredibly good throughout this entire match and taking objectives very well. But at the same time, in all these moments, Blackhand is moving around the map and they are picking up tons of experience.
Yeah, sometimes it seems like they won't really ever get a Dreadnought, but are never behind on experience. They're just getting experience through the wild Pokemon, being efficient, clearing those wild Pokemon, and then getting experience by taking the battle.
There's a whole big wild world of experience out there, but now it's Esports wants these big Dreadnoughts, and they grab number 2.
Here we go. This is the Elo Unite, and they get a good stun there and allows Blackhand to posture further into the pit and get a reasonable engage. As Curious comes forward with a curse, they're going to try and go for a push. JB comes up, and they settle this thing back out as now Esports doesn't want to hemorrhage any experience or KOs into Blackhand's hand.
Here they come in, jumping in here, trying to take down Jungle Book. Not able to do so. It looks like that Serena Unite move getting canceled out in that fight. And then from there, Blackhand raining the points in, taking game number 1, letting down Esports know who the best in the world is.
A little small thing here, but Slash's egg bombs perfectly timed right at the last second. Burned so much time off of the clock, allowed them to really seal it up without actually having to engage. Player of the game, the book. 6'6", 115, Blazecape, Flame Charge, Cinderace, and it looked good.
Looking beautiful right here. Now the question is, we know that Jungle Book has a lot of different Pokemon at their disposal. Are they going to keep playing this Cinderace, which is, of course, amazing, or are they going to bring Nouns doesn't expect here in game number 2?
You know, if I'm Blackhand, we just saw success. We were able to execute our game plan, and it really needs to be put on Nouns Esports to figure that out. Now, Nouns Esports, I'm on their side. Geese looked great with the Slowbro earlier. I didn't see it get a lot of ground or make a lot of ground there, and I'm already seeing a change up, and it's a big one. Bruv on that Mr. Mime, pulling it back from Season 1.
Here we are. Mr. Mime looking big. Gotlu deciding to move over to the Trevenant right here. Esports, it feels like they have a lot of different plays at their disposal. I'm sorry, do we have ourselves a Blastoise in the grand finals?
Hopefully it's not a bait and switch by a Daisy, but Blastoise, and it's going to be stacking with the Specs, Focus Fan, and Buddy Barrier as well.
Wow, I absolutely love it. Overlord here, hovering up on the Lucario. Kyrios on the sword, so it looks like things might be slightly different here for both of these squads.
Everybody's switching it up. Blackhand just trying to throw curveball after curveball into Nouns Esports as they're just trying to hang tight in the plate and drive one deep.
Well, something to keep in mind, Blackhand has games to give. Now, of course, they want to shut this thing down in 3. They want to go 3-0. They want to be the best in the world. They want to make a statement about it. But they could lose this entire first series and still come back and be grand champions.
Yeah, you know, that's nothing. That's not even on the lips or in the minds of Blackhand. There's no chance that's something that they're even considering. For them, they're treating this as a do or die, best of 5. Let's get it done here. Let's pack our bags. Let's go home and let's buy an extra suitcase for that big trophy.
Here we go. Game number 2. Nouns, of course, has to win, and they have to win a lot right now. They looked amazing there in game number 1, but weren't able to get it done at Zapdos. Here we are. Game 2, Blackhand, your purple team, Nouns Esports, your orange team, the grand finals of Pokemon Unite World Championships.
Bruv gonna be responsible for babysitting a little turtle, and those walls are surgical when you're talking about Bruv on Mr. Mime. Curios being absolutely relentless though, coming through, getting a big time KO on them, as Curios is getting awfully low. A Daisy there for the support, they're gonna try and chip in, Curios goes down!
Wow, 1 for each team here. Elo trying to chase it up and not able to get a Desu right there. A lot of fighting here in this bottom path, as we have 3 Pokemon for both teams.
Yep, and Nouns Esports trying to find it. Overlord babysitting 2 players up top. A lot of people babysitting today. Spraggles says that Steeny's just trying to get over to Serena and take over. Catlu just needs a KO so they can kick over to that Trevenant.
Overlord already level 5 here. I mean, very much known for being amazing on Lucario. So this is going to be a sight to see. A Desu caught out. No, Curios not able to secure. Let's see if they can chase it down. They back off.
A Desu gets it done and gets out of static here as Blackhand. Curios is just working on that Corphish, going to get themselves a level 4.
Oh, look at this fight. E-Speed, Lucario trying to get it done. Barely making it out of there. The tree just punching into the air right now, saying, come on back. I want to fight.
Overlord not concerned. They knew Gatlu was coming back and they're dressed like Elvis. I'm about to send you exactly where you're from. You're a ghost type. Let's get it done. Overlord darting through, catching a mean reset. Gonna jump back into the action. Big question mark? Of course it isn't. They're gonna see Redmaw low on HP. Tandem with Elo, and Redmaw might leash this one out.
Ooh, beautiful play right there. Using that Corphish to get the reset on the extreme speed. Galo at the same time looking for a score, but they might go down for their trouble. Whoa! Tree made it home.
Yeah, a nice little portal right under them. They're going to try and score. If Blackhand gives up on it, they get free points. Otherwise, they get a good reset.
Gotlu maybe in trouble once again right here. Overlord on this Lucario, just so incredibly mean. Goodbye.
Even Elo getting into the action now. Those 2 are working in tandem very well, stifling the tree, chopping it down 1 limb at a time.
Here we go. Some big scores up into the top path right here for Blackhand. Looking great in this top path. Lucario. What season is this? Season 1 Pokemon Unite?
Yeah, well, you know, shades of the past where both of these teams started in February. Here we go. A Desu, already a war total. They want to get Blastoise and they want to start getting into the face of this Blackhand squad, as that's a big defender type Pokemon.
Looks like no one from Blackhand is down here except for Slash, just trying to defend here in this bottom path. Curios might be in trouble here, trying to chase down a KO on Bruv, not able to get it. Nice pickup there for Nouns Esports. The confusion into the barrier. Huge.
Yeah, Nouns Esports get a good amount of those Bs. They are high. They're doing good on their levels here. However, Blackhand has 2 players sitting at level 8, and that's going to be huge for this fight.
Someone we have not seen much of yet is Jungle Book. They've just been spending their time getting as much experience as possible. Once again, not level 9 here for this Dreadnought, but they are a level 8 Cinderace, kicking these big soccer balls, trying to take this first big KO and get a secure here as they just tick over to level 9.
Redmond with a big time engage, they're trying to get it done, but JB scoring it, the KO streak of 2 for them. The Book doing great, Slash holding it down. He's trying to get back in the action as Bruv. We've seen them steal objectives with the Confusion Blast many times before, but Curious knows that, and they're getting in their pocket. They're following him down. Gatlu comes through, and it's Slash that takes it down for Blackhand, and they're going to turn the tides on Nouns Esports. They're going to see how many points they can score and how many bodies they can take down.
Slash with the big old egg and the big old secure right here. We've got a bit of a fight happening right here as they're being pushed into this goal. Gatlu trying to take them back towards the base, and it looks like Nouns Esports is going to back off.
Good defensive Bliss assistance onto the Book by Slash to make sure that they don't go down and send that high-level experience to Nouns Esports and allow them to catch up that way.
Overlord coming in here, level 10 Lucario right now. Ooh, getting caught out possibly by Bruv. This would be huge. This would be a huge KO if they're able to get it. Confusion is up, but they miss.
Bruv is absolutely surgical with those walls, and holding it down in the face of 2 players is admirable, but Elo with the perfect hyperspace hole, getting Overlord out of danger and right back into the action.
Jungle Book just defending up top here at this Rotom. They do not want to let it go, and big Unite move here from Blasters. They might be pushing this thing as here we go. We got the Rapid Spin coming in. We got the Unite moves pushing, and that Rotom looks like it could be, oh no, it's gone. It's gone.
Like 2 Unite moves were used, but Curio seems almost on phases. They're darting through. They get their first KO on this arena. Red Maw is down. Gatlu's trying to put the pressure the other way. Rapid Spin Water Spout going to put some pressure on, and Book, Elo, and Curios are just going to decide to back off.
Wow, what a ton of fighting happening here early, and you can see Blackhand looking up. All of their Pokemon are very high level. Nouns Esports is going to need to do something about this. Overlord is already level 11.
Overlord is known for getting things. That's why last game when I said only level 11, but this is way further into the game than this is right now. They're at the 5-minute mark already sitting at level 11.
We've got Dreadnought coming up here in 20 seconds, and this is going to be a big fight. We've got Unite moves only on a few Pokemon for both of these teams, but one of the big ones, we've got the Hoopa here for Blackhand, able to bring the entire team down to this fight, and it looks like Nouns just ticked over to level 9 as well.
Yeah, Blackhand, Cinderace, Jungle Book just picked up their Unite move, and Blackhand wants to kick this action off, and they're looking at Bruv early. That wall comes through, but it can't stop the big Hoopa unbound. Jungle Book's kind of fended off as Slash is playing very far forward. Mr. Mime's coming back through, but nobody's down just yet. They're putting the pressure on. Overlord is trying to find an opening, and they're converging on Dreadmaw. Keys is united as well. Redmaw's caught on the backside, and here comes Overlord trying to E-speed through, catching all the resets through the bees. Showtime! Spirit Fingers coming through for Bruv, trying to deal in some damage, but nobody's down yet. This fight is going on. Keys is pushing far forward. It's almost like they used 2 Unite moves. Galu's all over Dreadnought. Trevenant Unite comes out, and they're collapsing. It's a fluffy tail Dreadnought. Who's going to take it?
The Dreadnought is leashing.
They're trying to throw damage at as fast as they can. Curios comes through the KO on Blastoise. That Dreadnought's taking off the map, and it's the Book sorting it out. It's Gatler's putting the pressure on. 3 players down for Nouns.
What a fight! What an incredible fight there. Blackhand takes that after every single Unite move gets thrown in the Book, and Jungle Book ends up getting some big KOs.
It looks so good. Elo's like, am I really going to get these bees for free? Come on, somebody else on my team needs these, right? And Book rolls through and says, yeah, I got you.
I think those are my bees, actually, now that I think about it. I'm going to go ahead and take those. And now we can see this Rotom possibly going down. Gatlu trying to steal it, trying to kidnap this Rotom, bring it back. Oh, and they're not able to get it here. Secured by Blackhand.
Absolutely great. Jungle Book getting a KO for their efforts. Make that a KO streak of 2. They're sitting on the goal zone, and they absolutely shatter that thing. And Blackhand is looking very strong in this one.
Now the question is Blackhand going to push this or just get more experience all over the map? They're probably going to go back, especially Jungle Book, just so they can hopefully become level 15 by Zapdos. We'll see.
That's a big question mark. We already have 2 players level 13, 1 level 12, and they're going to try and push that advantage as we look across the way, and Nouns is struggling to find experience on the map.
Let me tell you, the level advantage in this game is huge for Blackhand. They already did so well at that team fight at Zapdos last game, and this game, they're way ahead on levels.
I like how Overlord pushes forward to get vision and is so confident in their escapability. They see 4 players for Nouns and even hang out just to make sure everybody on their team knows, hey, there's 4 up here, you're good to go.
We're going to have a level 14 Jungle Book for this. I mean, Cinderace is just already so incredible at level 14. And then you Jungle Book play and you think, wow, this might be the best Pokemon in the game, or at least one of the best players in the world.
Slash is trying to buy some time, gets a good reset here, and they're just going to be guarding around that middle area. The Dreadnought will spawn on the map, but it'll be taken away immediately when Zapdos hits.
Now take a look here. Blackhand is just completely zoning out Nouns Esports. They're going to have to find a way, and it looks like they're actually jumping over into this bottom bush right here. Yep. Oh, Blastoise actually heads back out through a very sneaky portal right here. Jungle Book getting some help right now. Everyone resetting in this moment. They're not ready to fight just yet. We'll see who ends up firing the first shot as Bruv looks for a big score, and it looks like Blackhand is moving into fight.
They get that score and they're moving forward. Unite moves are coming out. That's a big Blastoise Unite. They see if they can catch up. One player down for Nouns already. They're moving through. Bruv is getting low as well. They're playing far forward. They're playing far forward. Jungle Book is down, and that's a huge player for Nouns. But there's 3 for them, and that's a numbers advantage for Blackhand. Can they turn it around? Adasi's trying to do as much work as humanly possible. It's going to water spout. It's going to rapid spin. Gatlu's going to come in, and this Zapdos going down. It's going down quickly. Who's going to seal this thing? Curio's waiting. Curios is waiting to seal this thing up. Can they slash it down? And Slash puts the protected, but they go too early and get it on the backside anyways. And now Nouns Esports are on the verge, but nobody is really there for Blackhand. Just Elo holding 25 points is scrambling, and they can cut them off. Big Unite does.
Taking it into the air, 50 points here from Slash. They just can't stop it right now. 307, 169 as we've got a sneaky sword heading into the main base. There we go. 407, 169. Nouns Esports has to mount a comeback.
Yep, and they're going to give up this outer tier goal zone here, and they're going to try to defend the other 2. Jungle Book just dealing in some damage as Geese catch a reset, and Nouns Esports is looking to push.
This match just got a lot closer. 407, 269, a couple big scores, and this thing is all evened up. 35 seconds left to go. Nouns really needs a win here in this match, and they've got a big push right now.
We got Slash going for the back half, and Nouns Esports hasn't really started the push here, as Jungle Book is just all about getting experience and trying to get their Unite move back.
Love
There's
this play from Slash. Big play. Even if Noun scores right here, it might not be enough because of these 80 points right here. Noun is putting in some points into the top path, but too many of them are getting KO'd. Blackhand able to defend, kicking the soccer balls. The Unite move doesn't matter. Blastoise, Blackhand taking game number 2. Let's go, North America.
That's another strong showing by Blackhand, and completely reversed from what we saw in Game 1, where they were struggling to keep up an experience. This time they got out of the gates quick, got some quick KOs, and never gave up that lead.
Yeah, I gotta say, Blackhand just looking fantastic here in game number 2. You know, we had the strategy switch up here from now. Both teams switched up their strategy a little bit, and it just didn't seem like it was the play. They did get some value out of that Blastoise. The big plan, obviously, rapid spin onto Jungle Book, take him down. But Blackhand was able to punish them.
Slash getting the crown on this one, probably on that back half action, putting tons of points in. They also had some great Unite moves, of course, supported Jungle Book and Overlord throughout that entire map. Overlord with a rare only 1 KO, but tons of assists.
Yeah, look at that, 96,000 damage on Overlord. Lucario, is it here? Maybe it is. And Slash, yes, with that MVP, the solo right now, padding the numbers, but of course, Slash is such an amazing. They deserve that star.
487, 275. Nouns Esports, if their back was against the wall before, they just got kicked through it, and they got to fight their way back into the house to find some success here. They have to win 3 games on the hop to reset into another best of 5. Blackhand needs to just win one of these 3.
Take a look at this here. Blackhand just dominating early. You know, Serena is pretty good in that top path, but not until they evolve. And a Pokemon that dominates them early is Lucario. Kind of fallen out of favor lately, but obviously that was not the case here in game number 2.
And Nouns Esports had some moments of brilliance here. An early KO as well on the Wartortle. That's exactly where you want to be. Get them experience, get a decent fed early. But Blackhand able to converge and take some very clean team fights. And here was one of them as JB takes over.
Yeah, huge fight down here at Dreadnought. Overlord, by the way, just dancing around, moving through the bees, getting some health back, running away from Brub's Unite move right here. This was the massive, never-ending Dreadnought fight with every Unite inside the game.
Yeah, they chucked everything at this Dreadnought, and finally it was sealed up by Blackhand here, and they got it done in a big way. Curios on the sword also looking good.
Yeah, Curios looking great on the sword right here, and you know, really excellent going into a Blastoise, Trevenant, Mr. Mime. These are all really tanky Pokemon with tons of HP, and then here's that final moment right there. The boosted attack, slashing through and getting the big secure on Zapdos.
I was concerned with how low Blackhand players were on HP and how many of those points they'd actually get to convert. Just enough is the amount they got, as Nouns was unable to put a push together.
Slash, your MVP. 1 knockout. I mean, that's more than you have to get on Blissey. 9 assists, 262 points. The support player there. Hey, look at you, buddy.
Big thumbs up from Slash. They like that performance. They've been a walking highlight reel on this Blissey with the soft boiled, with the egg bombs. I mean, with the Bliss assistance, specifically on Overlord. I mean, it's been great from top to bottom, and that's exactly the type of play you need out of your supports if you expect Book and Overlord to carry.
Now, Blackhand is playing amazing right now, and let me just set the stage for exactly where we are. If Blackhand wins this next game, they are undefeated in the World Championships, and they become the World Champion. No question as to what team is the best in the world. Nouns Esports needs to win 3 in a row to come back, and if any team can do it, it's Nouns. This could be the biggest game that has ever been played. Blackhand could be a world champion in less than 10 minutes.
Look, I'm not going to say Nouns Esports has the weight of the world on their shoulders, but they certainly have the weight of the EU region on their shoulders. They have a huge amount of just fans going crazy every time they secure an objective, every time they take a Zapdos, every KO they take, and they're looking to come unglued for this squad and support them all the way through the finish line. They have all the support behind them. Now they just need
Now they just need to seal it up. Can they become champions with this one match? It is all on the line for Nouns right now. They cannot give a single game. They must win 3 in a row, and then after a bracket reset, they must win another 3 games. They've done it before, but never against Nouns. Excuse me, never against Blackhand.
Well, Blackhand's looking to stem that tide, of course. They're up 2. I don't see too many drastic changes. I don't think they're going to get goofy here. Like I said before, get it done, get the job done, get out of here. Don't even open the door for opportunity for Nouns Esports.
Here we are. Nouns Esports, your purple team. Blackhand, your orange team. This is the grand finals, and it could be the last game of the Pokemon Unite World Championships.
Here we go. Gatlu playing early, trying to keep Curios out from getting stacks, but that's a fruitless endeavor as they back off. Geese and Grub there for the support.
Yeah, Curios in this bottom path with 3. It looks like Overlord going to be playing this top path with the sword. We got the Lord of the Sword here in the top path trying to deal with Red Mazzarina.
Book pulls up for the support. Adesu back on the Sylveon. That's a great level 4 power spike, and they're going to try and leverage that in the face of Book. And of course, the Han Edge that takes so long to level up into the Aegislash.
Jungle Book heading back down to the central area right here, just looking to get enough experience to evolve. Letting it sit here actually for a second so that passive experience can sort of tick up, and hopefully get the evolution off of the KO. And they get it. Perfect timing.
Yep, they want to get to that Raboot and keep pushing the pace and leveling up here. Giza Desu just keeping an eye out for what Blackhand might be up to at these top Bs. They've been rotating hard to it, but right now it's just Slash taking a good amount of them, sitting with 12 points, reeling and retreating, and they have to send Nouns Esports with their pockets a little bit more empty than they'd like.
Yeah, here we go. They just sent Slash up top so that they can fight down here at this bottom path and throw a bunch of points in the goal. Nouns not able to stop them, but here they come. Now that Sylveon's down in this bottom path, picking up a couple KOs. Let's go.
Nouns Esports turning the tide, getting 2 big-time KOs. Upstairs, we've got Nouns Esports, Redmaw scoring points, hitting Zarina much earlier than in the last game.
Slash fighting with Redmaw in this top path, just trying to defend themselves against a mean Zarina. Adesu hanging out in this bottom path, picking up some XP.
Elo coming through, getting a core fish. They need to get their levels, of course, most importantly for that second Dreadnought. And we got a base back from the War Turtle from Gatlu.
Looks like Gatlu maybe heading up to the top path or into their central area just to get some more experience right now. We got a minute until our first Dreadnought fight. Overlord looking to get that level 7 so they can become an Aegislash.
These two coming through. Curio's just going to curse and charge forward. They want to hit level 7 soon. But here comes JB with the engage. Adesu's getting real low. They catch an egg for Bruff. Gets a great level of support. Nouns Esports getting Adesu out of danger.
Jungle Book looking great right here. Already level 7, but looking for their level 9. Overlord possibly getting caught out here trying to run, and they cannot get away.
Astonished that they got KO'd by that Doublade sent packing, and they need to respawn and get back onto the map.
Here we go. Redmaw just charging up that Zarina's Queenly Majesty right here as we have bees spawning here in this bottom path. Ooh, a nice little catcher. Maybe a KO. No. Elo able to get out of there as they secure the bees there in the bottom path and start heading down for Dreadnought.
Hard rotation here. Blackhand's going to show up in short order as Jungle Book's getting there, and they're absolutely eviscerated is Overlord on the Doublade.
Here comes Adesu pushing forward, just trying to zone them out with that hyper voice as they get ready here to possibly take this Dreadnought. Jungle Book not making it to the bottom path just yet. In fact, Jungle Book, what a sneaky boy, heading into the central area of Nouns, and that's stolen by
Hyperspace
Blackhand.
Hole gets it. Jungle Book's play is going to pay off. They're going to get tons of spirits on the backside. And Elo, you absolute legend. Hyperspace Hole for the secure. Not what you'd expect, but exactly what Blackhand wanted.
And Nouns Esports does not know where Jungle Book is, but here it comes from the back, a pincer attack, jumping in here, huge Unite move, taking him down. Let's go, Jungle Book.
Curious moving forward. One player down for Nouns Esports, but they're putting together a pretty good push here. Egg to the book, and they keep pushing forward as well. Overlord coming through. Sylveon getting KO on the tree. Overlord getting KO on Zarina.
Jungle Book just heading back here and now going to get some more experience here. What an expert play there from Blackhand.
Overlord, what a legend. That War Total tried to hit the spin, get the berry, and Overlord said this sword's too sharp.
Here
Yes, sir.
we go. Blackhand once again putting pressure on up and out in the top path. They have Jungle Book up here. It's going to be difficult for Nouns to outsecure this, but they've got the egg. They've got the stomp. Here it comes. No, taken down, I believe, actually by Elo, the Hoopa.
With Redmond coming through, they're low on HP. They pick up an egg. Book, another KO for them. They're all over Bruv. Curious is trying to leash them back with a big leech of its own. Huge push is what they're looking for. Get them all the gold zone so this Rotom can hit. Bruv is trying their best, but Blackhand's all over them. They get KO'd, and here we go. Blackhand's going to get some points in, and they're going to sandbag it as long as they can because, hey, Elo's got 32.
Yeah, there you go. Nice overdunk here for Blackhand. And Blackhand is just playing phenomenally here in game number 3. They're playing like they're champions, and they're trying to take it home right now.
Nouns Esports not too far behind. Adesu coming through, trying to leverage that hyper voice. Overlord picking up an egg, hitting on the retreat. Another odd no for them.
Here we go. Overlord slashing it up. Already level 10 here. But you know who's a pretty high level too? Yeah, it's that Jungle Book. Level 12 Cinderace here at the 5-minute mark.
Adesu not far behind, or excuse me, Gatler not far behind on the Blastoise. That's going to be a point of contention. They have their Unite move, and that's a great way to set up a great engage for now.
And here we go. The Unite move's coming in from Hoopa. It looks like everyone's backing off a little bit. The Hyper Voice coming in. No, we're engaging now.
Overlord's looking for a way, and they hit a big wide guard, and they're actually just backing off. No sense in engaging into what Nouns Esports is trying to do. Bliss assistance onto Redmond. They're going to try to get it done. Trevenant Unite back the other way. Huge KO on the Blissey. They're moving far forward. Rapid Spin Water Spouts going straight after Book, and they catch them before the reset. 3 players down for Blackhand, and that's Redmond absolutely popping off, stomping them out like Indamicon Sue. Redmond is all over this Dreadnought. Blackhand sent packing.
Blackhand could not make it home. Jungle Book is going down. Elo trying to stay around for the seal. Hey, they've done it once before. Maybe they can do it again. This Dreadnought is low. Here comes the big egg from Slash. Let's see who can get it. And it looks like, yes, it's going to be Nouns Esports.
Redmond getting it done. They got all the KOs. They got the secure. And now it's the Hoopa getting in the mix. Geese about that action. They're coming through, but Overlord had the Blisses in for a short second. Can they take it down on Adesu? They do. And now it's poor Geese trying to hold it down.
Here we go. Overlord just pushing forward, looking for a KO right here as Kyrios pushes these bees towards the side of Blackhand.
Bruv chipping them up, trying to steal that bee out from Overlord. A fruitless endeavor. Again, JB and Elo working through this Rotom. This is going straight in the face of Nouns.
Yeah, big pressure as this Rotom's going to head towards Nouns Esports. Something they're going to have to deal with while Blackhand has their pick of all the experience on the map.
Yeah, Nouns really needs to turn the focus internally onto their side of the map, get as much of those wild Pokemon as they can, and avoid big time engages with Blackhand. Try and find a pick. Don't go for the big team engages. But look at all the static that's being caused in the bottom path. They need to send resources down there as Blackhand is being relentless on that push.
Yeah, it looks like Slash maybe getting a little too far, getting chased down here by Godless, saying we do not want to let you head home, but no, we are going to back off here because there's more action in the bottom path as Overlord's coming in.
Big engage, Rapid Spin Water Spout going to try and find it. They're going to catch a reset here just in time. Great work by Geese to keep them out of trouble.
1 minute left until Zapdos. Blackhand looking great. Nouns Esports in a solid position here. But the big question mark is, can Nouns actually win a massive fight at Zapdos? They haven't been able to do it yet.
Ruff gets a KO on their counterpart, and of course Overlord keeps trying to level up. Red Maul getting big, level 13. That's who I'm looking for. They're going to need them in a big way if they want to take this Zapdos in the face of what Blackhand's bringing.
That's right. That's a level 14 Serena, and we've seen how powerful Serena's been all day. If they're able to catch out this Cinderace or this Sword, they might be able to win this fight. Right now, we have 15 seconds until this Zapdos. This could be the last Zapdos of the World Championships. Black Hand is looking to put this thing away right now. Nouns Esports needs this to stay alive, and this fight looks like it could be starting.
Curios is all over Gatlu. That's a rapid spin water spout. They catch a big time reset. All that damage fades off. Sword goes in. Overlord tries to find the wide guard. And are they going to engage off of this? The egg goes off. Here we go. Hoop is on bound. They're throwing fists in the air. Big Unite move catches all of Black Hand. They're pushing forward. Blizz's hits comes through. That's the first KO. One player down for Nouns. They're going to push forward. They're going to try and convert. They're converging on Bro. You're going down. See you later. They're moving forward. Overlords are relentless all over Adesu. That Hyper Voice hasn't hit any notes at all. There's no ears on his sword. They're coming through.
Down,
Give him another
down.
one. 4 down. Just Gatlu, the big Blastoise, gonna try and sort this thing out, but they are tearing through this Zapdos, and they are tearing through this Gatlu, and this is Black Hand's world, and we're just living in it as they're collapsing on this Zapdos, and this could be it.
Black Hand kicking down this Zapdos, just a few hits left.
Bang!
Black Hand secures it. The final Zapdos, that could be it for the grand finals of the World Championships, as the points are going to be raining in here. Nouns is going to do everything they can to push them back, but Black Hand is relentless.
The plates are full with Hundo burgers like Jughead, and they're going straight in. Black Hand was full. They wanted more. KO streak of 2 for Overlord. This lead is stretching out like taffy. Nouns Esports is back against the wall. If they were kicked through it, they're not even on the same block. They're not even the same parking lot. They're not even the same state or stratosphere or country. This is where they're at now. They're up against it.
Where they are is Black Hand's world, and we might all be living in it. Black Hand is 30 seconds away from becoming your world champion unless Nouns can do something about it. Overlord just putting some more gravy on top right here. 25 seconds right now. There just aren't enough points to score. There aren't enough members of Nouns Esports. Adesu with the Unite move, but I think it's fruitless right here as we have 15 seconds left.
Yeah, they're caught out. They're on the backside of nowhere. Overlord's looking for a gauge. They're trying to pad the stats. That's a huge reset timer, and Black Hand, baby.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Black Hand is your world champion of Pokemon Unite. Undefeated North America. Black Hand, look at them. The best team in the world.
EU has burned to the ground here in London. North America stepping into the territory, taking it down in convincing fashion, not dropping a single set from winners to bell, top to bottom. They're going home with a big trophy, and I hope you got the right size suitcase because you got some hardware to carry with you.
You don't do it better than that. You don't do it more convincingly than that. What a run. You cannot beat them. No one can take them down, not even giving up a single game to one of the best teams in the world. Nouns Esports, amazing performance. But Black Hand, what a championship run, what a championship team.
We're seeing some legendary levels of sportsmanship between these two squads. Nouns Esports have been up against it all weekend long. They have scratched, clawed, and fought their way to this point, to the grand finals. But Black Hand proved to be too much, and heavy is the hand here in London.
Would it be the 1-1-3 meta? Would it be Lucario? Would it be Japan? Let's hear it for Kyrios. Let's hear it for Black Hand. What it is Black Hand, baby. The best team in the world. Pulling out many different strategies to beat all the teams that came before them. Black Hand, the #1. I mean, it's undeniable.
We were talking about Black Hand. They were in the top 4 of every finals that the Pokemon Unite Championship Series has had. We kept talking about them as the most consistent team, but could they win? They stepped onto that regional final stage, beat the brakes off of everybody. They stepped on the world stage, beat the brakes off of everybody, and now they're going home champions. I don't know what else there is to say. The only thing I'm a bit bummed about is Excellent, their coach, can't join them right now, but I know they're going to share that trophy with them.
I mean, what an incredible performance. What an incredible performance from every team, every region. Let's take a look at it. They're crying, we're crying. Here we go. The big moments from this final match.
Black Hand and Book getting it done. Black Hand pushing forth, and they took control early in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just looking phenomenal in this series. I mean, when you don't lose a single game, you're looking pretty great. Black Hand is just amazing.
Not only did they not lose a single game, they weren't playing the same composition. They were adapting. They were adjusting. They were seeing what the other team was bringing. It might not have been a character change, but it was a loadout change, an ability change. And they were just throwing so many different looks at these teams, nobody could really adjust and catch up, and Blackhand was able to deliver on some big W's.
Here we had this big final fight. Nouns doing everything they can to take down Jungle Book. We just had such amazing support from Blackhand. They never let that Pokemon fall. They just let him go crazy. The Lord of the Sword, Overlord, looking amazing. Icing on the cake here of their victory.
Overlord absolutely looked phenomenal. Don't forget, Blackhand is getting a trophy. Blackhand is getting their name etched into the history books of Pokemon Unite. Blackhand is, of course, representing the Pokemon Unite community on the world stage, but they are also going home with a big chunk of money.
That's right, $100,000 to Blackhand. Look at that celebration. Let's go. Overlord, the Lord of the Sword, our MVP, the player of the game in the final match of the World Champions.
I don't think you can draw it up any better than that if you're Blackhand. Overlord has always been in the room for them and always doing a hard time carry, and they're feeding them and getting it done. Hard-earned, well-earned, Blackhand.
And as you can see, we are getting ready to present them with their trophies on the main stage. Let me tell you, Dupe Snacks, I mean, casting this season of Pokemon Unite has been an absolute pleasure. We have seen so many amazing teams from all over the world. It's a nice little treat that, of course, the team from our homeland was able to pull this out. North America, that is also very fun. But every single team that came here in this tournament has just impressed me so much. Let's take a look at what they're winning here.
Well, first place, we called it $100,000 for Blackhand. Nouns Esports, hope your checking account's ready because you're getting $75K across the board. Renaissance 65 and T2 rounding out our top four, $60K as well. And you can see those numbers going all the way down. All 13 teams getting some pocket money home.
That's right, a $500,000 prize pool. The bragging rights of the world champion on the line. And of course, you know, settling it once and for all, or at least for now, who the best in the world is. North America, and specifically Blackhand.
Well, Blackhand's going to have to defend this title in 2023, and you better believe that trophy is going to be sitting behind them whenever they're doing anything. Whenever there's a picture, they might just pull it in. You know, selfie.
Yeah.
Wait, you're not even at home. You're in a restaurant. Got it.
Oh yeah, you
Just
take it
carry
out
that
wherever you get a trophy like that. You don't leave it at home. You take it with you wherever you go. You better watch it. It's not coming.
Like, you're going to take it, or...
I might have just threatened to steal their trophy. Sure, sure, I might have done that. And you know what? I won't.
can earn the trophy yourself in 2023 if you measure up to this team, because Blackhand's going to be coming back to defend it.
I can't do it, I'll tell you that much, but I would love to see them try to defend this trophy. I mean, without question, just the best of the best. We are ready for their big moment. Let's take you to the main stage so they can receive their trophy.
Welcome. Please give another round of applause as we welcome back to the stage the president and CEO of the Pokemon Company, Tsunekazu Ishihara. Let's give a round of applause to the Pokemon Unite competitors that made it to London for the 2022 Pokemon World Championship. All of them. Let's give them a round of applause. It has been an amazing first year for Pokemon Unite. These trainers have been practicing all season for this moment to be the first ever Pokemon Unite World Champions. Together they have battled across Eos Island using great teamwork and strategy. Let's celebrate their accomplishments as we crown our first ever champions and finalists of Pokemon Unite. Are you ready? First, our finalists from Europe, Nouns Esports. First, Adesu. Calling Adesu. Come on over. Congratulations, Nouns Esports. And now, our champions from North America, Black Hand. Let's hear it for Kyrios. Slash. Jungle Book. Overlord. And Elo. Congratulations to all of our 2022 Pokemon Unite World Championship finalists! Let's give them a hand! We still have so much more Pokemon action happening here in London with TCG and VG finals happening tomorrow. Thank you again to all the Pokemon Unite trainers, and let's end with giving our finalists one more big round of applause.
Your world champions, Dupe Snacks, amazing.
Black Hand looked great. They accepted their trophies with grace. Nouns Esports as well. And I am jealous across the board, but they is hard-earned and they get that hardware to take home. I'm just so proud of both these teams. Proud to be part of this community. And these are two teams that you and I were fortunate to watch all year long, and to see them on the biggest stage in the biggest game just takes my breath away.
It has been absolutely incredible working with you, Jeff, Zoinks, this amazing crew. We're going to be talking to Black Hand here in a moment, but while they get that ready, I just want to say a big thank you, of course, to everyone watching at home. You make this game what it is. The community of Pokemon Unite is incredible.
It is incredible. It is incredible. They showed up, showed out, and these teams performed and absolutely entertained as the day is long. They put on a show, and it was, again, speechless.
You know, one thing I love, I mean, you got Black Hand here, undefeated. You really want to answer the question as to who's the best, and without question, it is Black Hand.
They really cemented themselves there, but Zoinks is on stage with Black Hand right now. Let's drop it down for an interview.
What is up, everybody? One more time, let's hear it for your champions, Black Hand! An incredible tournament win. You played amazing for these last 2 days, let alone the entire year. What a run. What does it feel like to know that you are now the best Pokemon Unite team in the entire world?
I don't know, man. It doesn't feel real to me, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy how, like, it started out as a hobby playing a game, man. And now, like, a year later, dude, met, like, 4 of the best friends in my life, dude. And now we're here, grand champs, dude.
Oh, yeah, can we get an aw from the crowd? That is adorable. Yes, amazing. In this tournament, you went through it undefeated, match by match. What was the key to such incredible success?
So the key to winning was not playing D-Night.
Okay.
Because our jungler over here can't sit here on D-Night, so.
Oh, okay. All right, so a hot swap is what gives you the answer now. I just have one final question, and this is actually going to come from the coach of your team. They asked, who said it was okay to play Greninja Greedent?
Me and Jungle Book.
Okay. Well, we have to give it to you. Can we hear it one last time for Black Hand? They are your Pokemon Unite champions, and they have been Blackhand. I'm going to send it back to the desk.
Wow. Incredible. Thank you, Zoinks. Thank you, Blackhand. And here we are coming to the close of our World Championships. It has just been such an amazing journey, hasn't it, Dupe Snacks?
Just the best indeed. The first ever Pokemon Unite World Championship is in the bag. Blackhand are your winners. I am the most fortunate caster in the world to have been here and cast this game. I just absolutely elated from top to bottom. Shout out to everybody that tuned in, everybody in production, everybody that made this happen. Of course, all the players, the entire community. You're beautiful. I love you.
Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. This has been incredible. Quite a treat. These have been the Pokemon Unite World Championships after months of competition, battling through the best teams in the region across the world. Blackhand has been crowned the first ever Pokemon Unite World Champions here at the 2022 Pokemon Unite World Championships. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for participating in Pokemon Unite. Yeehaw to you and yours. We will see you next year. Rotate to Dreadnought. Hello and welcome to the 2022 Pokemon Unite World Championships, coming to you live from London, England at the Excel Center. The entire year has led up to these two exciting days at the biggest Pokemon event in the world.
The original Diglett was my first Pokemon card and I've been playing ever since.
I'm so happy to be here.
I like the community. We've met so many people, we've met up with them here, so it's just nice to have people from all over the world that we never would have known without United. Just thanks for being so kind to everyone, and thanks for being so supportive and making this a great experience and making us want to be here and meet everyone and have just a great time.